Hey everybody, this is Woody Alpern. I am the co-host of Dive Talk. Also honored to be a cave diver. I'm a normoxic KISS rebreather instructor. I teach on the KISS Orca Spirit and the Sidewinder. I am an instructor trainer with SSI and teach for a bunch of other dive agencies as well. So I think that's part of the conversation today is why did I emphasize all that various training that I have? And I think that really is part of the conversation today. What I'm going to be talking about is a video. This video was recorded by Yuri Lipski. This was in April of 2000, and it's a very sad video. It's about a 7 or 8 minute video where Yuri actually recorded his death when he dove a very famous dive site. It's a blue hole in the Red Sea, southeast of the Sinai. And it's a very famous dive site. Unfortunately, it has the reputation of being, I think, the deadliest dive site in the world. I think it's also sometimes now called the cemetery. Now, funny enough, Gus and I co-host this with Gus. I co-host Dive Talk, want to dive it because we're trained to dive it. The conversation I want to have about this video is that this is a very easy to access dive site. You can access it very easily. It has a very shallow section, has an opening to the sea. I'm reading some facts here of 20 feet deep. Very easy to get into. You don't need any special gear. A lot of free divers go there, snorkelers go there. Beautiful reef, gorgeous visibility, lots of marine life. However, it also has something called the arc at a deeper depth, at 181 feet. Now, to put this in perspective, this dive site has a seaward side floor that drops to over 3,300 feet. So when you are diving in this dive site as a recreational diver, you may look down and see the arc at 181 feet, and it doesn't seem very deep. It's relative to the overall scale of the 3,300 feet. That can be a major attraction and has been to lots of recreational divers that dive it on air on a single tank. And that was the case with Yuri. Let's watch a little bit of this video, and then I'm going to comment and react to it. This video is not very long, by the way, so I'm going to let it run for a little while longer, and then I already have so much reaction and commentary already in the first few seconds of this. Let's let it run a little bit longer, and then I'm going to give some reaction. It looks like a lot of confusion, a lot of moving around. I'm going to give some facts behind this in a second, what really happened down there. Other divers in the picture there. Doesn't look very deep yet. Beautiful reef, doesn't look like a lot of current. Notice it's a very mundane, ordinary recreational dive at this point. Now that's looking straight down. Looks just endless. Camera's pointed straight down to just darkness. So we have a deep sight here. By the way, this is a saltwater site when he was in the upper area of the blue hole. It's salt water. So presumably he was weighted for salt water, and he also was carrying a very large camera. So you got to be weighted properly to make sure you can maintain neutral buoyancy. That's a very, very important part of my reaction. Again, for those of you who may know additional facts, this is simply my opinion in reaction to the video as I'm watching it. I'm gonna speed it up here. And I'm gonna speed it up more. Okay, speeding it up more. Right now there's still video of other divers. And seems to be plenty of light. Speeding it up more. And more. Listen to the work of breathing. Listen to that work of breathing. I don't know if that's what it is because I'm just now watching this. It really feels like he's having to work very hard to inhale. I've sped the video up to where he's obviously now at a much deeper depth. So sounds to me like, boy, that air has gotten a lot denser at this point. Listen to it. Still going down. You can see from the particles there's a rapid descent happening here. I mean, from the speed of those particles, that's flying how fast he's going down. Down, down, down. Notice how fast he's going down, and there's nothing around him. He can't see the outer walls. At least the camera's not showing anything. It's just getting into total darkness at this point. Just so you know the facts, he ends up dropping down to 115 meters in depth. Do you think there's nitrogen narcosis? He was on regular air on a single tank. And listen to the struggle of the breathing. I'm hearing that now. Still descending. I'm hearing beep, 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 beep. That could be his computer saying you are way into deco and you are way beyond the level of depth that you should be at. By the way, on regular air at 330 feet, the partial pressure of his oxygen would be at a level that you could easily convulse at. For sure, you're narked out of your mind. For sure, you got to be confused. You're definitely struggling to breathe. And I would say you could see very easily how he would have tremendous confusion, which would spin into even more panic, faster breathing, and continue to create a tremendous amount of narcosis where you're not going to know what's going on. But what's interesting is what I said at the beginning of the video. He was weighted with a very large camera for salt water. I don't know if he broke through a halocline layer here and got into fresh water, which at that point, all of a sudden, that weighting that was right for seawater would be completely wrong for brackish or freshwater. Continuing the video. And it looks like we may have a bottom coming up. Boy, the breathing sounds terrible. It's hard for me to breathe just watching it. I saw him look at his computer. He's showing his computer. Can't see the depth on that. He's on the bottom. This is amazing to actually watch because this looks so painful. Now, ultimately, just so you know, he did not have enough lift to get back to the surface. He could not ascend. There was a malfunction for sure. But the malfunction simply could have been that he was overweighted and he was completely confused due to narcosis. And entering into this zone as a recreational diver is just riddled with possibility of having a fatality, which he did. And again, this dive site attracts a tremendous amount of recreational divers. I can't wait to dive this as a technical diver trained for limited visibility overhead environment, as a cave diver on a rebreather with mixed gas for sure. No way would I do this on regular air. You're going to be narked. You are going to, I can't even imagine the amount of deco time he's racking up. Just think about that at 300 plus feet underwater. And you're completely confused. Coming to the end of the video, I want to watch it all the way through with you all. And then add some more commentary. It's not going to be a long one, this one. I'm going to just talk for a few more minutes because, fortunately, there's not a lot to talk about. It's pretty obvious what happened. Coming to the end. Got about 30 more seconds. And then the video is over. Now we have... Still moving around. Lots of noise. Lots of background noise. He's moving, it seems like, in an uncontrollable manner. He's trying to do something. And now we're at the end. And the camera is no longer filming.
Okay.
And it ends. Let me bring in a few other facts. It turns out that his body was recovered and that Tarek Omar, the next day, he's one of the world's foremost deep water divers, at the request of Yuri Lipski's mother, went and recovered the body and the camera. He noticed that the camera was still intact. What he didn't know is that when he got back to the surface, that the camera was on and filming this entire thing. And the mom wanted it. The mom watched it. So the final memory for, unfortunately, for Yuri's mom is this video. And I think it's interesting that Tarek Omar, the one who recovered the body, said that he regrets that. He said, and this is a quote from him. I want to read this quote. 2 days after we recovered his remains and gave his mother his belongings and equipment, she came to me asking that I help her disassemble them so she can pack them. The camera should have been damaged or even broken altogether because I had found it at a depth of 115 meters, and it is only designed to sustain 75 meters. But to my surprise, the camera was still working. We played it, and his mother was there. I regret that. His mother will have this forever. If I had known the footage existed, I'd have flooded it. I think the thing that really upset and saddened me about it was that his mom has it now. She has the footage of her own son drowning. And that is a quote from Tarak Omar. So he did warn Lipski against attempting the dive twice. I told you that. And at 115 meters, he would have been subject to severe nitrogen narcosis. And obviously his judgment would have been completely impaired so much that he would have had hallucinations and caused panic and confusion, which seems to have been the case. And by the way, it says Lipski had a single tank assumed to be air. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm only 16 minutes into it. Here you have a situation that has a recreational diver entering into what seems to be a rather benign dive site with good visibility, easy access to the sea, but then has an uncontrollable descent. Is he diving by himself? Does he have additional lift with him, like like carrying a large SMB, where if his BCD wasn't working, he could have used that? It was said that he actually removed his regulator. I presume he may have done that to try and orally inflate his BCD. Maybe the low pressure inflator hose wasn't working. I don't know. So don't shoot me for saying that. But why else would he do that? Or he was just super confused and removed his regulator. At that point, if he didn't quickly put it back in, he's going to start drowning. So many things went wrong here. You have a dive site that's attracting recreational divers that are not equipped, that are not trained to exceed these recreational depths. The final comment I'll make is that I don't care who you are watching this. You are narked, whether you feel narked or not. When you are narked, you don't feel drunk. You don't feel wasted. You just kind of feel relaxed. And you may not even know you're narked until you're task loaded. Once you're task loaded and you have to do one thing that's complicated or more than one thing, you just can't think. It's just confusing. And your brain is not working properly. But you're narked even at 130 feet on regular air, whether you believe you are or not. There's no scientific evidence that says you get used to being narked or that you have some special powers that prevents you from being narked. The work of breathing, to me, my reaction of listening to that was hearing that, man, it sounded like he was really, really struggling to breathe. And that would make sense that as that air was becoming extremely dense at those depths. So again, this didn't have to happen. And it's super sad. So this dive site has now the reputation of being known as the cemetery, one of the deadliest dive sites. There's some writing out there that says there may have been upwards of 200 fatalities there. Both during the Israeli time of occupying this, I think that was up through 1982, and now Egypt occupying it. It is a very popular recreational dive site that unfortunately has people pushing their limits, and things like this can happen. And that's my reaction. No shot of not having a fatality of going to 330 feet on open circuit, single air tank. It's fatal. Don't do it. I'm sad that happened. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And stay safe. Don't dive beyond your training limits. And don't dive beyond the gear that you have to be able to handle a dive of this type. Thanks a lot.